Welcome back to The Factor. This is a gross one for me. He's a celebrity pastor known for his slick clothing, popular books, and engaging personality. But now Tulsa-based Pastor Mike Todd is being railed online for a disgusting demonstration he gave during a sermon Sunday. We've edited the video to make it somewhat easier to watch, mainly for me. In front of his congregation at the Transformation Church, Todd spits in his hand, coughs up phlegm, and wiped it on the face of a man on stage. His point, he claimed, was that receiving God's vision can be nasty, that you should trust God's vision when it isn't easy. The crowd made audible gasps, likely in shock of it all. We talked to a few pastors about this stunt that turned my stomach. And our guests are here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, Dr. D.Z. Cofield and Dr. Ruth Ollison. What can I say? What can I say? I saw the video, or at least attempted to watch the video of Mike Todd out of Oklahoma. And I'm thinking, what is going through his head? Obviously, you want to hit home that spiritual message, but that was, I don't know. Dr. Ollison, let's begin with you. Your thoughts on that video and the route he took to send a spiritual message.
Hey, I thought you and I were becoming friends, and then you called me to talk about this. But there is a tendency in the ministry to do illustrations. We're all familiar with that. Those of us who are a little bit older and a little bit more mature know that that's been a long-standing practice. Lately, there's been something, I'm just going to call it demonstration. And in a lot of cases, that has gone too far. Just people trying to, I guess, impress the audience. But it's a problem when the message is no longer the message and the messenger becomes the message. So too far, way over the line. Having said that, I'm not one. The Bible says, who am I to judge another person's servant? I'm not trying to judge, but I think by virtue of the fact of my position and experience, I have to say something about this. Too far, too much.
And Dr. Ollison, it reminds me of journalism and the rule that we have there. The reporter or the journalist should never make themselves the story. And that's what he did here. Instead, and the message got lost. The message got lost. So if you're out there making yourself the story, no one will get the message. Dr. Cofield, let's bring you in. Let's hear what you have to say about this.
I agree with Dr. Ruth. I think, that's part of, though, this generation's homiletical MO. This generation believes in what is called organic preaching. And in what is called organic preaching, you basically go with the flow, and whatever comes to your mind is what you share. There's not the discipline that many in prior generations were taught to have and to think through those illustrations. He had, I watched, his message earlier, and he had some great illustrations in there. I mean, made some great points. But the problem is when you approach a text and you approach it with a pretext, then that biblical text takes on another meaning when you take it out of its context. Mm-hmm. And when you take it out of its context, it becomes the justification for improper conduct. And that improper conduct can be manifested in how we live, but it can also be manifested in how we demonstrate it. And I think Dr. Ruth was spot on. This attempt to make the message come alive really went too far, even in terms of the application to the specific text. When you look at the specific text and you just follow basic hermeneutical principles, that pretext created a content taken out of context that justified the conduct. Now, he came back later on and apologized, said he watched it, he was disgusted by it. Some are questioning, how genuine the apology was. But I think anybody who speaks for a living knows, especially when you're speaking live, knows that, there are times that you will say things, you may mispronounce some things, but when you demonstrate something like that, to both of your points, the message was lost in the delivery, and he became the centerpiece of it. And he missed the moment, Isaiah. I mean, he just didn't read the crowd, because the crowd is gasping. Mm-hmm. And they're not gasping because it is a deep spiritual truth. deep spiritual insight. I mean, they're gasping at the vulgarity of the action. I mean, you talk about, Jesus spitting to heal, but he was also spit upon in a vile way, and that was the most vulgar thing you could do to a person, spit on them. And when you
it still is, right, Pastor?
Yes,
it is.
We still don't cotton to that too much.
Right. And one of my guys said, man, you take the time to get a loogie or two, and man, you cutting your throat and spitting in your hands, and it went too far.
Yeah, and he did it three times, and I couldn't go to the
just
end
hearing you guys describe it, it disgusts me.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Him in the moment, was there a lack of better I mean, you're in the moment and you're spitting in your hand.
No, that was a plan.
You know what you're doing.
Wait a minute, that was a plan. So I just want to say that some thought went into that.
And that's what I have to, when you say organic, that's not organic. That's planned out because his little brother was up there to rub it in his face. Obviously, you wouldn't do that to any stranger. Is this part of a problem, though, when younger people need that attention? On social media as well, there's a need for attention out there.
Well, I want to say that what is needed in ministry, what we do is so important. We're dealing with the lives of people. We're dealing with the lives of souls. This is not about getting attention. This is about, in the case of our churches, Jesus Christ, having people come to a saving walk, a way of life. It's not about getting attention, but what we also need is we need accountability, and it doesn't need to be a one man or one woman show. Someone needs to be able to speak into your life, and in these cases, maybe there needs to be a committee that looks at these demonstrations, and you try them out and have somebody look at it. But there needs to be accountability and responsibility, because it's just too much riding on it.
Yeah, and let me say this, for fear of sounding like the old man that's saying, get off my lawn, I think, in truth, Michael Todd's profile is such that he has an international platform. And, to whom much is given, much is required. And he just missed it. And, we all miss it at times. We just don't miss it on such a big platform. When most of us miss it, a few of our members may gasp. TMZ doesn't carry our apology. So it was just on a different level. But it's sad. I hope he sincerely gets it and sees the error of his ways. I tend to lean towards the fact I don't think he planned it. I think it was a spontaneous illustration that he just pulled his brother up there, and because he used his brother in another illustration. And he just felt like he was flowing in the anointing. And that's a dangerous place to flow when you're flowing apart from what the word of God says.
A dangerous place to flow. How damaging was his stunt to questioning Christians? We talk about it, plus hear Todd's apology after the break.
I just want to acknowledge what happened yesterday when the spit hit the fan. I watched it back, and it was disgusting. Like, that was gross. I want to validate everybody's feelings. That was a distraction to what I was really trying to do. I was really trying to make the word come alive and for people to see the story. But yesterday it got too live, and I own that. And I just want to make sure people know that we want to help people. We want people to see Jesus. We want people to feel loved. We want people who are desperate to be able to find hope. And I'm passionate about that, so much so that I try to do extreme things to help people get it.
Now, that was more of an acknowledgement than an apology from Tulsa megachurch pastor Mike Todd. He gave on social media Monday after the internet got on him for his nasty demonstration in a sermon on Sunday, where he spit in his hand and rubbed it on a man's face. So what damage does this do to people questioning their faith or whether they want to go to church at all? We wrap it up with our pastors. With these types of theatrics, could you push people away from the word if you are playing games like this when you have millions of followers internationally, when you're being irresponsible with the pulpit that you have?
Well, there's always a risk. That's always a risk. And so I feel very sad for him. I feel very sad for the people who saw this. I hope he can work through it because he does have an incredible following. Nobody's perfect, so he went too far. But the ministry, I think he's been in the ministry for over 15 years now. There's some maturity that has to happen. He's very popular. I mean, he has a heck of a lot more people than I minister to. So I'm not in a position to judge him from that standpoint. I am as a senior level elder in the church. So from that standpoint, I believe that he's certainly going to bounce back, but we all have to be very careful about what we're doing with this influence and the opportunity, the responsibility to speak into the lives of people.
And Dr. Cofield, number one, do you think he will bounce back? And number two, do you think it will harm those who are looking to church and this may turn them off?
I think it can, especially the more immature people, I think, who don't recognize that we all have fallacies and we all will make mistakes. I think it can. I think he can bounce back. There's no question in my mind that he can. He has a tremendous ministry. He has a tremendous following nationally and internationally, and within two of our younger generations. He has a big following. But again, I think every pastor, I want to encourage every pastor to be careful, in both your interpretation and your application. You always have to be careful because, there was, even in this apology, there was almost a sense that, he's taking on the role of Jesus, spitting in his hand, which was totally inappropriate as an application, but again, when you start venturing into those areas, you start going where angels fear to tread.
Yeah, slippery slope. Thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight. I'm still going to have to get over that video.
Thank you.
I'm a squeamish person. Thank you both for joining us here on The Factor tonight. And of course, never spit in someone's hand. Never spit on anyone.